Okay, good evening everyone and welcome to the webinar. Today's presentation topic is Take Home Naloxone in Community Pharmacies Part 2. My name is Alan Choi. I am the Professional Development Pharmacist at OPA. A few housekeeping items prior to start. You should be able to see the PowerPoint slide on your screen. If not, please send me a message in the chat box on the right side. And please note that we have muted all lines, so please type your questions in the chat box so that speaker can address them after the presentation.
To highlight, and I think this is probably the most frequently used written handout or written insert that can be found in the naloxone kit. So this is actually like a very small cue card size handout that's included in take-home naloxone kits that are available from most vendors. And what I want to highlight to you is that you need to double check that your naloxone kit have all the content that it needs to have, but also that its written information is consistent with provincial standards. So what I mean by that is this Save Me acronym is from British Columbia, and in BC and out west, where a lot of these kits are actually assembled and shipped to Ontario, their protocol for, or the short version of their protocol to respond to an opioid overdose is actually different than what's in Ontario. And for your information, the main difference is how much emphasis we put on providing rescue breaths. So as of April 2017, this is a release that was publicized by the Ministry of Health, but also the Ontario College of Pharmacists, where the injectable naloxone kits that we provide through pharmacies no longer require the rescue breathing barrier. And at KMH, we still provide the rescue breathing barrier because maybe there are people who are trained in CPR and feel comfortable in providing rescue breaths. Why shouldn't they have the protective equipment they could benefit from? But we are very clear in our instructions to the people receiving the naloxone that, ideally you provide full CPR if the person's unresponsive. But if not, then you can feel free to provide chest compression. Because, for most people who don't know CPR, chest compressions are easier to do, and they don't have the ick factor of, putting your mouth on someone else's mouth. And the Ontario Chief Medical Officer of Health has indicated that providing compression-only CPR is preferred over rescue breaths if the person is not fully trained and comfortable in providing a full CPR. So basically, if the person is comfortable and is trained in full CPR to provide rescue breaths and chest compression, great. They should have all the resources available for them to do that. But if they're not, then chest compression generally are. The golden rule is that if someone's unconscious, you call 911. The only difference when it comes to opioid overdose is that in case it's an opioid overdose, you can give them naloxone. But really the same principles of standard first aid and CPR still apply here as well. So this is what I meant here. So this is from Thompson Health, and this is their 5 steps to save a life. And I think this is a very useful written handout to actually provide to patients because this is local, this is Ontario, and it tells people a step-by-step graphic process as to how to respond to an overdose. So shouting and shaking the person to see if they are responsive. If they're not, again, the most important thing in all of this is to call 911. In case it is an opioid overdose, you can provide them with naloxone if you suspect that. And you can see half of that diagram is the intranasal formulation, and the other half is where to inject the ampule or the vial of naloxone if the person has the injection. So at this point, I would like to open the floor to any questions that you may have.
Sorry, Maria. There's a technical issue with the chat box right now. I don't have chat box open right now. I can't open it. So if you have a question, then please forward your email. Any participant here who have a question, then please forward your email to education@opatoday.com. We'll try to answer your questions in a timely manner. And in the subject line, please type take on the lesson so we can address them. So we have to end the presentation here due to technical difficulties. Is that okay?
Yep. Thank you, Alan. Thanks for everyone who joined us online.